Noninkables. Hello and welcome to Noninkables, the podcast. We are on episode number 24 and it is just past the first week of set champs. I played in one and I did it. Okay, so we will talk about that. But other news, let's do everything else first. So this past week on our channel, I released the interview video with Tyler, aka Botsu, kind of interviewing his journey playing Lorcana and how he got so good and all that stuff on our channel. And then also released a red-blue shark deck tech. And we go over two of his pivotal crucial decisions from the 10K and the 15K. Both were against Amber Steel. And then he this week also did an interview with Forbidden Mountain, which I will put a link in the description down below because he is famous now. Famous in the Lorcana community a little bit. And we keep joking and kind of joshing and ribbing with him about how he's going on a podcast tour because he is so humble and gets kind of, I don't know, flustered when we do it. Probably because we keep doing it. We're all very annoying. And then later on Saturday, both on this channel and also on the Snuggly Duckling channel, which is another team out of Louisiana, I want to say, where Jordan is from, we kind of released a set of paired videos. So Jordan and Tyler got together to talk about the matches that they played. So they played a total of 3 rounds against each other over the weekend in Texas. And I think 2 of them were on stream. So we did the 15K quarterfinals on our channel. That's when Tyler won on Red Blue Sharks over Jordan's Green Purple Discard. And then he kind of talks through his decisions of how he played that match. And then they do one on the 10K where Jordan won over on the Snuggly Duckling channel. So I will also put that in the description below. So check it out. I definitely watched that before I played this weekend and it was helpful. So this weekend, for some reason, in our locals, there was only one set champ. Well, I think there were multiple set champs on Sunday, but there was nothing on Saturday. And the set champs are all being listed in the Ravensburger Play Hub, no longer on Melee. And so I even expanded the search out to 100 miles and there was nothing, which is unusual because our area has so many game stores that it's unusual for there not to be a set champ at all for a whole day. So I didn't play anything on Saturday. And then we played in locals on Thursday and Friday night. So Thursday night we went to Victory Point Cafe and I took Red Blue Sharks, just the same. I think I took Tyler's deck from Texas and I got murdered. Not murdered. I lost very badly. The first round I played against Adrian, who is part of Team Tiahu, which is Ed's team. And he played red-blue. Or no, sorry. He played red-purple, which is I feel his deck that he always plays. And I lost both games on the play. I was back to feeling like I didn't know how to play the deck. I felt over the weekend in Texas, I did pretty well and I understood the deck because Tyler had explained it the night before, but all that knowledge had evaporated from my brain and I no longer knew what I was doing. And it felt like how I felt the week leading into Texas, where I was I'm just making stuff up. This is wild. I don't know what I'm doing. So that was my first round at VPC. And then who did I play for the second round? Let me take a look, actually. I don't remember. I don't like that on Play Hub. It's there's no way for you to see your previous matches very easily, which I think is annoying. I wish there was an easier way. And I don't know how to find, if I search just the day. Here we go. Okay, let's see. Pairings by round. I can only look at pairings. Who did I play? Let me look at the list of people. Who did I play? I didn't write it down. Oh, I played Justin. Okay, I played Justin. I don't know why I didn't remember that. I played Justin, who was playing red-blue, the exact list. It was a red-blue mirror, which I technically should be better at because I've had experience on the deck. First game I was on the draw, I lost. Second game I was on the play, I won. Third game I was on the draw, and I think we went to turns, or maybe I lost. I'm not sure. I don't really remember. And then the last round I played against Aaron, who was playing Blurple, but he was playing like his own homebrew version of Blurple, which really had a lot of interesting cards. Also relied on the fact that all the Madamims and all the Merlins are sorcerers. So, for example, he played like Seeking the Half Crown, which gives you get like a discount for every sorcerer you have in play, and then you draw cards. There was like Annas and Elsas, and then he shifted a Merlin for the Merlin that looks through the deck for a card. And so that was the only deck I won against, both on the play and on the draw. And I think like on one of the games, he bricked super hard, where he like turn 1 was Ink into the Unknown Pass, turn 2 was Ink into the Unknown Pass. So after that, I was like, uh-oh, I don't know how to play red-blue sharks anymore. Maybe I should switch decks. And I feel like this is me all the time. I'm always like, I like struggle a little bit, and then I decide that I don't know what I'm doing, and I switch decks. And then I don't like that deck, and I still don't know how to play that deck either. And so then I go back to the original deck, and then I do better. So Friday we played at DVY, and it's just a constructed, and I decided to play green-purple discard. First round, I played against Braden, who is a child. He was playing Amber Steel Aggro with like pennies and Vinnies. First game, I was on the draw and I got smoked. Didn't even get any lore. Second game, I was on the play and I won. Third game, I was on the draw, and it was a very, very tight game. So he ended up, it was at one point like 6-15, and then it was 14-17, and then he got to 18, and then to 19, and then I don't even remember what I did, but luckily, I think there was one turn he took off to not quest, and that was the only thing that saved me. Basically, a misplay from a child. And so 2 out of the 3 games. The second round I played against Ron, who was playing green-purple, but the aggro version, so with Curse Merfolk and Pegasus. First game I was on the draw, and I lost 2-20. Second game I was on the play, and I won. And then the third game I was on the draw, and I lost 4-20. He played 3 Merfolks, so turn 1 Merfolk, turn 2 Merfolk, and I was having flashbacks to what I did to people in set 3, and I didn't even have anything to play on turn 1. And as green-purple, so not even a little Diablo. So that was pretty bad. And then round 3, I played against Nick, who was playing, I didn't write it down, I don't remember. I think Amber Steel. I'm going to guess Amber Steel, because I think that's what he plays normally. And I lost both games. It was bad. And so then I was, of course, spiraling, and was like, okay, maybe I'll just go back to red-blue and try to remember all the things that Tyler taught me, except that my memory is not good. So I broke down and I just bought the DKP guide, even though it was like $50. And then, of course, like I'm watching the guide, and it shows like his deck list, and in his deck list, the little like notes part is like, oh, if you use this code, you can get like 15% off or 10% off or something. And I was like, would have been nice to have that code, but I already paid full price. So I watched his guide real quick. His guide is really, really long. So I watched, there's like one video about set 8, like specific to set 8 and set 8 meta and stuff. It was like 2 hours. I watched it on like 2 times speed. And then I watched like the video about whether to sail or to TPO. And then I watched the video about secret uninkable cards. And like a lot of the stuff he said, I was like, oh, Tyler told me this. Or like, yeah, that makes sense. I remember learning about this when I was like studying red purple back in set 4, because I think a lot of this stuff is similar. So like, for example, one of the things he talked about is like, if you are playing like red purple and they are going to maybe get rid of one of your things with Baking Undisputed or Lady Tremaine, then you play TPO instead of sail. And then you have eventually TPO and Shark on board. And so then the TPO protects your Shark. So you don't quest with TPO. And I was questing with TPO all the time when I was playing, like earlier that week. I was nonchalantly just TPO quest, trying to get that like little lore in the beginning. But that made sense. I was like, oh no, I should know that, because that's kind of like what we did when we were playing red purple in the mirror and things like that. And so I think part of it is like, I paid money for the guide, which forces me to watch the guide, number 1. Number 2, I think because it's like organized, like very organized in terms of like, this is how you mulligan, this is how you play this matchup, this is how you play this matchup. Not that I watched all those videos, I haven't yet, but I'm going to. I think that helps me retain the information a little bit better. I was also watching it the morning of set champs, and I feel like my short-term memory, like for the day, is good, but like long-term over a week is not as great. And so watching it, actually, like a lot of the stuff, I felt like Tyler had already told me and explained to me, and I just needed to hear it again to remember. And then all morning on Saturday, I was waffling. I didn't know what I was going to play. First at Champs at Destine. And then I knew I was going to play Red Blue, but I didn't know what version. So I didn't know if I wanted to play Tyler's version that he took, or if I wanted to play a version with Brawl, or I thought about teching in Maui's Fishhook because that had been played against me. And I thought it would be good against like mirrors with manors, and also because it gives evasive, it would be helpful with green purple. So all morning I was waffling, and like poor Brian, I think every 30 minutes I told him I was going to play a different deck. And I just kept like sleeving and unsleeving those like few tech cards. I also messaged Tyler and I was like, hey, should I play the Brawl version? And he pretty much was like, yeah, if you think there's going to be a lot of green purple discards specifically, then you should play the Brawl version. Otherwise, you should just play the list that he played for Texas. And I literally was like, I think 30 minutes before we left. No, not even 30, like 15 minutes before we left the house, I was like, okay, I'm going to put in the Brawls. I'm going to do the Brawls instead of the Goofies. And I'm going to do 2 Hades instead of a Maleficent, because I feel like I don't always get to that ink. And then that's the list I took. I had already printed my deck list, so I changed it once I got there. I like crossed stuff out. We ended up not needing to turn in a deck list, so it was okay. And then Destine ended up being 36 people. And I think a lot of people tend to show up for Destine because their pricing is pretty good compared to a lot of the other stores. So for first place, I got, obviously, we both got the participation Jafar. And then for top 8, you get the shiny Jafar. And then for first place, you get the champion mats. But then in addition to that, I won 36 packs. And then like for participation, everybody got 3 packs. So not bad. And so first round, I played James, who was playing Purple Steel Jafar Wheel. And the first game, I was on the draw, and I was able to win that. It was 2-20. I think his hand bricked a little bit, and like he had to play, I think he at one point had to cast a heart. He had a hard cast a whole new world, and there was a whole new world in it because he had drawn 2, which is kind of unfortunate. The second game, I was on the draw and I lost. It was very close, but I think it was a misplay on my part. And so there was a point where he was at 13 lore and I was at 4 lore, and I had a Hades on board, and I think maybe like a mansion or something, a manor. I keep calling the McDuck Manor mansion. And I could have sung Be Prep with Hades, because he did have like a little Jafar. I think it was the 3-2 Challenger one out. But I had already gotten rid of 2 of the big Jafars, so I thought maybe he wouldn't have the Shift Jafar. But then he ended up having the Shift Jafar. And so I didn't be prep, and he was able to do a whole new world into a lamp to get to 20. I think he had 2 lamps, actually. He banished 2 lamps. And then the last game, I was on the play, and it was so close. So luckily, when he was at 3 lore and I was at 2 lore, I played, I think, a Pirate's Life for ink. I was going to say for money, but I paid the ink price to play Pirate's Life, partly because I know that the Jafar Wheel deck can go really fast all of a sudden, but also because I didn't have anything better to play, I think, which is why I played it. And thank goodness I did, because he ended up being like a couple lore short. And so he was able to wheel once, sing a wheel with his Jafar, and then he hardcasted a Jafar, and then I think he did like Desperate Plan. No, he wheeled once, wheeled into a Desperate Plan, and the Desperate Plan discarded 6, drew 6. So he went from 1 to 8 for the whole new world, and then 13 for the Desperate Plan. And then luckily did not draw another Desperate Plan or a whole new world. And so I think only had a Friends or a lamp or something, so didn't actually get to 20. Otherwise, I would have been toast. So that was round 1, and probably, I think, super scary match for me. Game 3 was super scary because I was like, oh no, this deck is going to get like 21 lore in one turn. I'm going to I'm going to lose. Round 2, I matched into Lugal, who plays at DVY in our locals. He's been playing red-blue, I think, for the last 2 sets. And I have definitely played red-blue versus red-blue, like the mirror, against him and lost. I think I played, I'm going to say blue or red blue into him like for NorCal champs last set or something. Definitely lost. I was rather nervous about this. And then I lost the die roll, so I was more nervous. But the first game, I think he was at, I got 1 lore, he got 2, and then he got 4, 5, 7, and then I was at 3, and then it was 4 to 9. And then I was able to control and win without him getting any lore. The second game was a lot closer. I was at 12, he was at 7, then he Pirates Lifed, and then, so it was 10 to 9, and then I think I played a Shark and same Pirates Life, so then it was 13. No, I think I like played some actions with Maui, so it was 13 to 9, and then he Pirates Lifed me again, he went to 11, I was at 11, so we're both 11, 11, and then he Pirates Lifed me again, and he was at 13, I was at 9, and then I was able to stabilize from there and get to 20 without him getting any more lore. And I think our list probably only differed by maybe a few cards because he had a Maui fishhook and I did not. And I was able to, I feel like in the mirror, you always need to think about what if they've dropped manors? Like how are you going to answer that? So I was able to hide away one of the manors and play B prep one of the turns. And then on the subsequent turns, I was able to get like a character to stick. So Grandma or Hades, I think. And then I kept the Maui Shimmer all in hand so that I could rush it with like Grandma or something to get rid of his other manors. And I know that he had like inked a manor. So I knew there was, once I hid away the second manor, so he inked one early and then I hid away the second manor, which I think he played at like turn 3. Which watching the DKP guide in the morning, he does not recommend. So then later when the 2 manors came out, I knew if I got rid of those manors, I would be fine. And that there would be no more manors for me to worry about. And then after that, I felt like I could start inking my Maui Hero Vol. Otherwise, I kept the Maui Hero Vol and I would like get them in my visions and stuff. Round 3, I matched into Dorian, who plays normally at VPC. It's so funny because in one of the set champs at VPC, he like really wanted to match into me, I think round 5 or 6. Because it was like a good matchup for him. And then we matched together, but then like people dropped without saying that they dropped. So then they rematched everybody because there were like too many non-pairings. And then he didn't match into me. I think matched into not a good matchup for him and then didn't make it to top 8. And so I feel like he still remembers that. And so he was excited for this matchup. He was playing green, steel, discard. And I luckily won the die roll the first time. However, like, I am still unsure how I won that game. Partly because I feel like Brian was playing green steel against me, and I lost to him like 10 games in a row on Sunday in Texas when we were just practicing. But I guess I suppose in general I tend to do better under pressure. So like for example, I do better in exams than like the homework or when I did a lot of school. I feel like I need the pressure and the anxiety to help me focus. Maybe that's the ADHD, but I always feel, and like, for example, when Brian and I practice at home, I lose a lot. And then when it's actually like competition, I usually will win that. So I think that is where I'm lucky, I suppose. I did feel anxious the whole time. But I don't know how I won because he got 2 shifted Diablos to stick for like many turns and an undamaged beast for many turns. And I think in that game, there were so many times where I would be like, I don't know what to do because I think I just have to give you cards. I gave him so many cards. He went to go fan out his cards and it made a circle. And I was like, how are you not? And I think one of our friends, Ben, kind of like looked over his shoulder. Was it him or was it the other? No, I think it was when I was playing Dorian. Is that like when I had like multiple cards in my hand, he would not discard my hand, even though he had like Prince John on board. Yeah, he even resolved like he was able to play Beyond the Horizon, and I had to discard like 4 cards, and he had Prince John, so he got a lot of cards. And somehow, like, I don't know, still somehow, I think I also top decked luckily like a B prep at the right time, and then I visioned to look for a sisu, and so I got lucky in that way. And I also like was able to there were a couple, I think there was a time where I had to like sing Beep Up with Sisu so I could do manners, and that deck does not do well with manners, because I think the only things that have high attack are Tinc and Pete, Shifted Pete, Base Pirate. So it's kind of hard to deal with manners. But he had a ton of ink and a ton of cards, so I don't know. I did have a misplay in one of the games where I ran into something with my Maui without healing it first, even though I had popsicles. And so then my Maui died for no reason. Yeah. Second game, I was on the draw, and it was like 11-11 before I could stabilize and win. And then the fourth round, I played against Kevin, who had actually just played Brian in our hybrid league. Oh, I forgot about the hybrid league. What happened in the hybrid league? I think I played, hybrid league, I don't know. I'm going to look at the results and I'll talk about it later. But, so round 4, I played Kevin, who had played Brian in the hybrid lead. And Brian had played red-blue because he normally plays Chief Bogo, which is also what he took to the set champs, but it doesn't work in the simulator. And so he played red-blue without being like super familiar with it. And it was so funny because I like looked at his board before I like went upstairs to pack some orders and stuff. And I think he had like 2 manners and a shark on board, and Kevin had like a Rapunzel and maybe like a Spee or something. And I was like, oh, it's probably pretty good. You're probably fine. So I went upstairs, and then I came downstairs and he was like, lost. And I was like, how? And turns out he got wheeled. So Kevin had like 7 cards in his deck and Brian only had like 5 or 6. And so he lost because he ran out of cards. And because Brian doesn't usually play red-blue, like he didn't know that you could like hover over your deck to see how many cards are left. And he didn't realize that was like a thing that can happen in red-blue, that you're cycling so much that you can actually run out of cards. But that was good news, good practice for me, because then when I played Kevin at set chance, I was constantly checking his discard to see how many whole new worlds were in there to make sure that I would not get decked out. So first game I was on the play and I won pretty easily. It was 17-8. Second game I was on the draw. I was able to win. I think in that game, had he been able to shift his Cinderella into Big Cindy, I would have lost, but the only shift he had was Robin Hood into Robin Hood, so he was 1 war short. Thank goodness. Round 5, I matched into Kenneth, who is from the team Glitched, which I think is like kind of Rich and maybe Create and maybe sponsored by Terrence. But I feel like the ones that mainly play are Kenny and Rich. And so we ID'd, and then there was a lot of math going on at the end of round 5. So at the end of round 5, there were 3 people who were undefeated. So me, Kenny, and I don't know his name, but he's Dadam in the Play Hub. And then there were like a ton of people who may or may not bubble in based on their tiebreakers. And the TO for the tournament was Gilbert, who was also playing. And I don't really understand the math into like who plays who, except for like top 8. I know it goes like top and bottom and they like go towards the middle, but I don't really know for like the round stuff. So the TO, Gilbert kept saying I was going to pair into him. And I was like, oh, can we just ID then? And so we'll both get in. And he was like, no, I want to play for seeding, which matters for his deck because he was playing hyper aggro. And he had just played, I think, Edmund, who was also playing red-blue. So he'd beat him. So I think he thought like, oh, I'll just play Q. She's playing red-blue and I'll just beat her and then get better seeding. It'll be easy, right? Because hyper aggro is kind of hard for red-blue. And then I didn't pair into him. So I was 3rd and he was 4th, but I ended up pairing into the 5th place person, 5th standing, which was Tim, who's playing green-purple discard. And we ID'd, and I was like, oh, thank goodness. I was like, do you want to just ID? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, okay, great. Let's ID. And then I think since I had already ID'd the previous round, I was like, yay, now I have time to finish my boba. And then I think Tim went and got a burrito from the Mexican place. And Gilbert was very upset that he didn't match into me. And so he had to play Kevin, who was on Steel Song, which is like not a good matchup for hyper aggro. And I feel kind of bad. He was like very upset. And he lost because that's like the worst matchup for him. But I mean, he still made it into top 8. And so then we went straight into top 8. And my quarterfinal match for top 8 was Tim, who was the person I had matched into for round 6. And it was so funny because prior to the matching, the way Play Hub works is like the standings will update kind of in real time as people submit their results. And so at first it looked like Tim was going to match into Edmund. And Edmund was like, do I just go home now? Do I just, no, I'm going to lose and go home? And kept like joking about that. But then Edmund ended up not matching up into him. And it was me who matched up into him. And I was like, oh, great. Well, we're basically playing the same deck. So the fact that I matched into Tim, I was like, it's not great. But also like, I'm glad I teched in those 2 brawls specifically basically for this matchup and had not gotten to use them like all tournament. And so luckily I was higher seed. I was 3rd seed going into top 8 and I think Tim was 6. And so I was on the play. And then the first game, every time, so he was playing discard, right? So I was like, okay, based on what I saw from Tyler's GP thing that he did with Jordan, I only watched the one that was on our channel because I had to edit it a little bit. And then I ran out of time to watch the Snuggly Duckling one, which I'm sure would be very helpful. I was like, okay, I know that they play Wrong Lever, which can get rid of my shark. They play We Don't Talk About Bruno, which can get rid of my shark. And so I was like, okay, this is not good. So my shark is not safe. I should probably not play shark when I would normally play it, which is on turn 4. But I think I do need to ramp so that anything I draw, I can play. So I focused a lot on ramping. And Gilbert, it was 1 to 2, and then 2 to 4, and then 3 to 9. The board got a little big, 6 to 11, 7 to 13. And then I think I was able to, I want to say I top decked a B prep. And then I think I had 8 and then 10. And then there was that, I think in the first game, I would like get a vision and then I would vision and then I would like look at my choices and I would have like, I was like, oh great, I have a brawl and I could maybe brawl his Diablos. His Diablo stopped drawing cards and I would be like 1 ink short because of whatever I did early in the turn. And then, because I think it was usually like I would play a Tomato, get my popsicles, play a popsicle, and then I would get a vision. I would play the vision, and then I'd be like, oh, I could play Brawl, but I'm 1 ink short. And then I think there was one turn where I was like, oh, I could get the sisu, but I only have 7 ink left, so I can't play the sisu, so I had to throw the sisu back in. There was no B prep, or else I would have played that. And every single time I think I got a develop or a vision, one, I would be 1 ink short of playing what I wanted to play, or it was a lot of like, am I safe to take this Brawl, knowing that it could be discarded because it's the only card in my hand? Or can I take the sisu, or is it just going to get discarded, or do I throw it back? And I think every time I threw it back, I didn't get discarded. Every time that I kept something that was like an answer, it got discarded. But I think I got lucky. I was able to vision into a sisu, and then got lucky. He played a cove, but didn't have enough ink to put anybody in the cove. And I was like, oh. And I was able to sisu. And then he started to go kind of wide and was like not super aggressive on questing because I had a shark out. And then I could just vision and look for the other sisu that I had thrown back in. And so I got lucky that time. And then the second game, I was on the draw, and I'm looking at the scores now. He got to 18, and I was at 2 lore. And then somehow I pulled the game back. And this is really when I feel like my heart was beating because I knew this was a very hard matchup. And also, I think that game, though, he didn't play anything turn 1 or turn 2, which very good for me on the draw. And then I ended up, I think I did like sail turn 2, and then I did like a sail brawl, and then I did like a T-po the next turn. I was basically trying to ramp so hard. And I think at one point I did play like a hideaway on one of my popsicles because I got like, once Carpet Bag was out, I was like, okay, I have my draw engine there. It's safe. I don't need all 4 popsicles. And luckily I had 4 popsicles. So I was able to like ink one and then I think I hid away another one. So was able to win that, which was very surprising. And then my finals match was with Kenny. And like, even going into when we were like deciding to ID and stuff, I basically was like, I want to be on a different bracket than Kenny because Kenny and I have played a lot in the past. And usually I feel like he says we're even in terms of who wins, but I feel like usually he wins. Because from what I remember, the times that I beat him, one time I beat him, I think in top 8 in Redwood City. And it was because I was playing Blue Steel. he was also playing blue steel, but with Oswald. And he had 2 Oswalds out. And they didn't get an item, I think, like 8 times. And so literally he bricked so hard and I won. So I felt like that wasn't really like a win, like a legitimate win for me. And then the other time I beat him was at a set champs where he was playing red purple and I decided to play yellow purple hyper aggro. And so I was very, very nervous because Kenny is very good. He doesn't play in like local league a lot because of his work. So he kind of just shows up for set champs and dominates. I think like last set champs he had like 3 or 4 mats. So I was very scared to play Kenny, and he was playing red purple that was like definitely teched for red blue sharks. The first match I didn't draw 2-cost ramp. I mulliganed 6. I kept, I think, a popsicle. So I wasn't able to ramp until turn 3, which is not horrible. I mean, it's like 1 turn late. And then all my turns after that were so awkward. And he got to 14 before I got my first lore. And I lasted longer in that game than I thought I would. I thought I was going to get rolled. So the score ended up being like 14-20. And with like looks like no Pirate's Life in there from him. I think I played 1 Pirate's Life because I think I inked 2 that game early because I didn't have anything else to ink. It was like ink Pirate's Life twice or ink Shark. And so I lost that game. I was on the draw because he was higher seed, but it lasted way longer than I thought. And then game 2 and 3 were crazy. They were probably the hardest games I have ever played in Lorcana. And I feel like we're like nail biting the whole time. And I wasn't paying attention to the time, but Ben was watching and he said we probably did 2 hours for finals for 3 games. And so the first game I was on the play and it was like he got to 5 lore. I was at 2. And then I got some lore and it was 8-7. And then 12-10. And then I think he Pirate's Lifed me and said, I'm the pirate. And then I Pirate's Lifed him and said, now I'm the pirate. So then we were like 13-14. And then it was like 15 for me, 13 for him. And then I got Pirate's Life. So it was me 13, him 16. And then it was like 17-18. And then I got 18 and then 19. So in that game, I remember, so he had played, so Kenny somehow dodged all of the red blue in the room all day during Swiss. And then his top 8 was red blue. His top 4 was red blue. And then I was red blue. So all his matches in top 8 were against red blue. And I had seen when he played Edmund in top 4 that he was running Peter Pan plus Maui Shark, which gives Peter Pan gives Evasive's Rush. So then the Peter Pan plus the Maui Shark takes out Manors. And so he took out Edmund's Manor, like just 2 characters. And so I was like, okay, I can't play Manors early. They're just going to die. And if I play Manors, I probably need 2, maybe 3 Manors at once, which really reminded me of an interview that I think Ed did after he won Texas Fort Worth, where he was like, oh, I knew that 2 libraries wasn't enough. I was going to have to like triple library. I had like a flashback to watching that interview. And so every time I would develop a brain or vision and I would get a mana, I would just throw it back. And so by the end of the game, I had inked 1 mana. So I ended up being able to close the game by playing, I think I had a Hades on board. I played 2 manors. He was able to get rid of 1. I played another manor. I sang B prep and then I played a shark. And he couldn't get rid of 2 manors plus the shark. And so I was able to win that game, but it was like nail biting to the very end. And then the next game I was on the draw, so it was a little like, oh no. And Kenny, I think, went pretty aggro in the beginning. He played like Chernobog and like 2 Diablos. And so he got to 5 lore before I got 1 lore. And then it was like 5-11. And then it was 8-17. And then it was 10-18. And then I found a Pirate's Life. I think I had a Maui out. And then I probably visioned into a Pirate's Life. So then it was 12-16. Or 15-16, actually, after the Pirate's Life. And then he got to 17. And then I think I found another Pirate's Life. I just hard casted 1. So it took him down to 15. And I think I also quested. So then I got to 19. So it was 19-15. And then he played like a couple things on board and was at 16. And I don't think that I could have gotten rid of. I think he had like a library plus characters, plus like a genie and maybe a Peter Pan or something. And so then I had to, I think I played a vision. And in my vision, I got like manor. My choices were manor, be prep, vision. How far I'll go. So I chose the vision because I think if I had picked the B prep, he would go to 17. And I know that he plays like Pirate's Life and Shark, and he had enough ink to do both. And so then I picked the vision. And at that point, I had like 8 cards in my deck. So I visioned again, and I ended up finding Pirate's Life was like the second card. It was like a Maui and a Pirate's Life. And so then I won from that Pirate's Life. So I had a double vision into Pirate's Life to win. But it was like super close, especially when he got up to 18. I was like, oh no. And then I think every single step in the game, I had to think about, because one of the things Tyler told me when we were talking about the deck in Texas was that like sometimes you play a Sisu or a Hades so that you have, like, even if it doesn't have a target, so that you have a character on board who can sing B prep to get rid of whatever they play so that you can like double manor or you can play something else. And so I think that is what saved me, is that I kept thinking ahead to play those characters so they could sing B prep, so I would still have the ink to play other stuff after the B prep. Whereas normally I would have just like been like, oh, I'll just quest with these and then B prep, or not even play them because they didn't have good targets. So yeah. And I mean, I got lucky in many games that I got the carpet bag when I needed, or at least like Tamatoa. And I think someone kept walking. I can't remember who, because I feel like when I'm playing the game, I'm like not super focused on I hear what other people are saying, but I don't like register who it is. But someone kept walking by and saying like, oh, every time I look over, you have 4 popsicles. So I think I got very lucky in terms of popsicles. And I did definitely every time in between rounds, like when I put them back in my deck, I like space them out and then shuffle so that they're not clumped together, because that really bit me in the butt in Texas. And I think once you get 2 pops, you want 2 popsicles for Tamatoa. But once you have the carpet bag, really like 1 popsicle is kind of enough. And 4 popsicles is definitely too many. So then I start inking popsicles. Like when they return to my hand, I just ink them so that I have more ink. Because I don't want to ink like Shark or Hades or Manor or even Grandma, because she lets me get a card. And so I think those are probably the key differences to how I was playing. I think also like I slept so little when we were in Texas. So like prior to leaving for Texas, I worked a night shift. And then when we landed in Texas on Thursday, that night I slept a ton, like 10 hours. And then Friday we played all day. I went to bed at like 11, woke up at 2, and then didn't go back to sleep. And then the next day, same thing. I think I went to bed at like midnight, woke up at 2 again. And so got like very little sleep. And then I feel like I didn't really fully recover until Saturday the following week because of work. Because I think I worked like and once I got back, I think I worked like another night shift, and then just, I guess, didn't sleep that well until like Saturday, Friday and Saturday night. So I feel like I was very not well rested for my weekly leagues. And so being well rested was good. This set champs, I also, instead of just eating a bunch of candy, I was like, okay, Tyler says to drink a lot of water. So I was drinking a lot of water, which means I had to pee, which means I had to get up like in between rounds. I couldn't just like sit somewhere, which I feel like got the blood flowing. And then like right before finals started, I did some like lunges and some stretching, because I feel like that's what Tyler does. And I'm like, well, he's a winner, so I'm just going to do what the winner does. I'm going to play the winner's deck, sort of. And then I'm also going to do what the winner does, which is drink water and stretch. And then I also like ate during the day. We bought some like chicken tenders and wedges from the market next door, because the boba place wasn't open when we got there. And so had a chicken tender before everything started. It was like a very big one. And then had like another one, I think in round, I want to say like right before quarterfinals started, and like some fries in between after quarterfinals and after semifinals, because our match finished early because I played against Hyper Aggro, and the other match was Red Purple versus Red Blue. So I feel like eating helped, water helped, and maybe not candy in the end is probably better. So I need to stop just like, because usually I eat a ton of candy. I didn't bring any, so I think that is probably better for me. And as I was taping this, I remember that I did play an MGL over this week. I forgot, I think I forgot when I played it, actually. It was earlier this week. Let me see. I'm sure it's in my messages. So I played against BHNG, aka Lion Goes Rar, is his Discord name. Okay, I played on Thursday. And, oh, what was he playing? I don't even remember, and I didn't write it down. I think he was playing Purple Steel. Anyways, I lost. And it was like one of those where I looked his name up in the simulator, and he was like ranked, I don't know, like 150 overall on the leaderboard, and I was like, uh-oh. But I think also that was before I understood the deck more and how to play it. So maybe if I were to play it now, I would do better. So yeah, that was the set champ. I have a pretty mat. I need to buy a frame so it can look like all the other ones. And now that I've won one, I feel like all the competitions from here out will be like super chill. Last set, I didn't even get a mat, so this is exciting. So we are technically missing a mat there. Will I buy one? I don't know. Maybe. The store is open again, so if you need cards, you buy them. I ship them out like same day because I know some people need them for set champs. So hopefully you can get them on time. I'm putting kind of just like, I guess, more expensive cards in the shop. One, it's not really worth it to ship the cheaper cards. And also, I feel like they just clutter up the shop and aren't the ones that people want. People have been buying a lot of Rhino, a lot of ladies, a lot of wrong levers, some Into the Unknown. Yeah, and I think for our overall our meta for this set champs, there was like a lot of blurple in the middle. There was quite a bit of amber steel, both aggro and songs. I think more songs though. I saw the Jafar Wheel purple steel, but I think two other purple steel. I think Teal was playing Churn Dog. Ben, who is part of Team Tianhu, he usually plays like some crazy homebrew deck, and he was playing red blue, which was like, I was like, what is happening? You're playing a meta deck? That's so weird. So that was fun. And I was like, what? You're playing red blue? What? And Brian played Chief Fogo, but I don't know if he's going to play that for other set champs. I think he's going to play either green steel discard or maybe red blue. I don't think he enjoys playing red blue, so probably green steel discard. I think the main problem is that he ran like the match he could have won to get into top 8. He was matched against the match he could have won to get into top 8. He had to play against Amber Steel, which is playing Rhino, and the Chief Fogo does nothing against Rhino because of the resist, and so that kind of lost him the game. So I think, and he didn't draw like a strength, and let the Storm Mage on doesn't do anything. So I think because of that, he wants to play probably green steel discard. I feel like he's pretty good at that deck. Definitely has beat me multiple times. Not in competition, but in practice. Oh, I switched sleeves this time. So I used dual spec sleeves. These dual spec XD sleeves. I bought them online from a store called Molecular Games. They're like the only ones who had them in stock at like MSRP. The actual website doesn't have them in stock. These are my new favorite sleeves. So we were using katanas, but I like these ones better. They seem to be more durable. And like after 6 rounds, I looked through my deck and I think only 2 sleeves I had to switch out. One had like a fingernail print and the other one had like a little bent corner. And maybe I've gotten better at shuffling, but most likely I think the sleeves are just more durable. And I bought a bunch of this new color they had called Frost. I don't think I have one up here, but it is like a pale blue color. Like not so much of a baby blue, but more of like a grayish pale blue, like a cool pale blue. And so I feel like that's going to be my color going forward. So yeah, that is it in terms of this week. This coming week, we're playing in one set champ at VPC. However, I am on call the night before, and I will be on call the night of. So one, I may not be able to finish playing Top Cut if I make it, although I might not make it because I'm going to be probably very tired unless I can get someone to trade with me. And so I'm definitely not expecting a result like yesterday, but hopefully still good. And then the week following, we are playing in, I think, 2 set champ games of Brentwood and DVY. And then the week following that is Gen Con. And then the week following that, I think there's a couple more set champs, but I'm not sure if we're playing in any. We haven't signed up for any as of yet. So that is kind of what's coming up. Check out those videos that Tyler made for both the Red Blue Shark deck tech, which is very helpful, and I probably need to watch it again before I play some more because I feel like maybe I could have just rewatched that instead of pay for the DKP guide. But whatever. Sometimes you just need to hear from different people for it to like integrate into your brain. And then also watch Tyler's video with Jordan on our channel, again, Green Purple Discard, and also his video with Jordan on the Snuggly Duckling channel, which I will link below. I'll link his Metafy below. Oh, you can get I was going to say counseling. You can get coaching from Tyler now. He has a Metafy. I think it's $45 an hour. And you should definitely do it. Tyler is like super, super nice. He is technically, I guess, now known for Red Blue. But honestly, guys, he plays everything. Last set, he played a lot of Green Steel, Chief Bogo. Prior to that, before the Huron ban, we were doing Blue Steel. The set before that, we were playing Green Steel, discard. And I remember Tyler being like, this is the best deck in the format. It's so strong. And I'm like, okay, maybe when you play it, it's strong. But when I play it, I feel like all my babies are weak and I can't attack anything. And I don't know how you're winning with this deck because it seems so hard. And it was just like a lot of thinking. And then the set before that, we played items. The set before that, he played Blue Steel. The set before that, he played Amber Steel, but technically I think liked Red Blue better. He is like undefeated at set champs at NorCal TCG, starting set 3 when they started set champs until this last set, still undefeated. So reigning set champ there. And I feel like he's like, it was unexpected. It was not unexpected. We were expecting him to do very well in Texas because we know that he's very good. He like dominates locals. He told me that I should be dominating locals. And I was like, okay, easy for you to say. But like he does very well. And then like the big competitions we have around here, he does really well. And we always joke that like he gets out because of like a technicality. So like one of them, which I've talked about on the podcast, like one of them, he accidentally had 5 Prince Johns in his deck. And so got a game loss for that. One of them, he got like warnings because he kept doing how far I'll go incorrectly and putting it on the bottom of his deck instead of into his Inkwell, which he almost did at the 10K on stream, and then he caught himself. And we were like, oh yeah. Okay, he learned. It's so ironic because his mat is literally the how far I'll go mat. And then like one of them, he didn't realize that Mr. Arrow has resist and not ward. And so like we're like, Tyler, you keep losing for like stupid reasons, not for like actual gameplay reasons. We know that you're actually very good. And so we were kind of expecting him to do well at Texas. And so I think he's just like diamond in the rough. Hasn't been featured, I feel like, in many big tournaments because he hasn't been to many. But now that he's done good at Texas, you'll be seeing him a lot more. And I have a feeling that once he gets more well-known, the prices may go up. So you should book with him now, get your value. And definitely has made me a way better player from when I started. Because when I started, I thought you had a quest every turn. You had a quest or a challenge. I didn't realize you could do nothing. And then Tyler would talk about like, well, you got to know your lines. And I was like, I don't even know what lines are. I just look at what's in my hand and like play stuff that matches how much ink I have. And definitely like made me think about more layers, more levels of gameplay, which I talk about in my levels video, one of the like basics videos that I did in the past, which sometimes I revisit just to remind myself. And I think has really advanced my skills, both Tyler and Gary. And so, and like when I play, I think to myself, like when I get stuck, I'm like, okay, what would Tyler do in this situation? What is like a Tyler play that would happen? Because I can see like, oh, I would do this, but maybe that's not the right choice. Maybe Tyler would play something better. And like, I know I kind of can figure out what he would play based on like one, watching him play. And also like when we practice together, he'll like talk through it. Sometimes we'll play open-handed. And so similar to, I think, what he would probably do in a coaching session. And just like even hearing him talk about like, oh, I would maybe play this because blah, 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 because I think they have this, especially like when he was doing green steel discard and you could see the people's hands, he would be like, okay, well, based on these cards, this is like how you use that information to change how you play, I think is something that I would have to work on. Like for me, when I played green steel, the hardest part for me was I would play Diablo. I would look at their hand immediately, nothing. Can't remember what I saw. Or I would play Ursula and be like, okay, there's the song. Didn't look at the rest of the hand. And I feel like he has the memory for that. And also like works on that. Where it's like for me, I have to like be like, okay, let me look, let me try to remember. Okay, do I have it memorized? Okay, now you can put your cards away kind of thing. And so I feel like just, I don't know. his coaching is just like, it's very insightful. Like it's not like you play and he's like, oh, I would do this. He like explains why. And so I feel like you guys would get a lot out of it. And really, part of the reason why we kind of poached him to be on the team is because I was like, I need training from this guy. This guy is the shit, knows what he's talking about, is super nice. So would like definitely be very helpful. And I wouldn't feel like dumb for asking any questions. Like, I don't even feel like, because Tyler is so nice, I don't even feel like I need to caveat sometimes by saying like, oh, this might be a dumb question. Like, I don't even feel like I need to say that. I can just ask my dumb question, even if I think it's dumb, and somehow he'll make it into a smart question, and then I'll learn a lot. So I definitely recommend you guys book a session with him. He's super nice, and he like knows how all the decks play. So like, even if you want to be like, hey, I want to play this deck against this deck, like what kind of like pitfalls do I have to watch out for? It's good with stuff like that. And so yeah, definitely check it out. It'll be in a link in the description below to his Metafy. And oh, if you guys liked the content of like his commentary about the matches that he played, write it in the comments and he'll do more. I think people in the past have asked me to do them, and I've always felt like, one, I don't like being on stream. It makes me nervous, which I need to get over and work on. But also, like, I get nervous that people will see my misplays, but that's how you learn, and I'm going to work on that. But also, like, you can't record the simulator, so we'd have to record like real games, but we definitely have footage of like previous games, probably from me and also from him, that we could do commentating on. And we're all going to like more competition in the future that will, and then maybe I'll volunteer to be on the stream so it can get commentated so I can learn better. But yeah, if you want more content like that, I think he's totally down to make more content about how to play certain things. So yeah, that's it for this week's podcast. A little bit long because of my excitement, and I shot this podcast a little bit earlier in hopes that I would remember more what happened during my matches. But honestly, I think the adrenaline is pumping. I think my heart rate went up to like, according to my Oura ring, like 144 during finals, and my Oura ring was definitely like, you had a very stressful day yesterday with not much like movement, because I was just sitting there and I was like shaking. I feel like my limbs were cold, even though it was like a warm day, because I was just so nervous. I could feel my heart pounding, especially in finals, like the last two games. I was just like, blah, 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 the whole time. But really for all of top 8, because green purple discard is a super hard matchup for red blue strikes, and so is hyper aggro. And I was like, great, I'm just meeting all the hardest matches up in top 8. And then playing Kenny is always stressful because he's so good. So yeah, that is it. Let me know how you guys did on your set champs, and watch Tyler's videos, and that's how I got better. Play red blue sharks, it's a good deck, and then plus or minus the brawls, I guess, if you're worried about green purple discard or hyper aggro. Hyper aggro, the brawls came in clutch because there's one turn I sailed and then I played a brawl. And I feel like the Goofy would not have done the same because I played the brawl on an unexerted piglet. So I was able to stall him a little bit. But yeah, so watch the guides. Let us know if you want more of the gameplay commentary. See you guys at Set Champs. Good luck to everyone at Set Champs. Check out our TCG Player Store. And as always, reminder, tickets for DLC Milwaukee go on sale on Wednesday. So if you want to go to that, make sure you're ready with all your devices. I may have to pretend I'm in a meeting because I'm supposed to be at work. And I'm like, I just need like 5 minutes, guys. I'll be right back. Let's try to get tickets for this. And as always, keep shuffling. Hopefully you don't end up with a whole handful of Noninkables, which definitely did happen to me in finals. Game 1, where I had no turn 2 ramp. I had 2 beat peps and a Hades and a sisu in my hand, in my opening hand. It was rough. So surprisingly didn't lose that badly. I got to at least 14 more before I lost, which was impressive to me, which I feel like is a win, even though it's technically a loss. But yeah, keep shuffling. Hopefully you don't end up with a whole handful of non-inkables. Let us know what other videos you want us to make. And good luck. All right, bye.